to Newy Tech People, episode 24 today. We've got James Newell, tech lead at Lendi. Welcome, James.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
I think there's a few people, especially in the dev space, that know of you around the Newcastle team, worked locally, worked away, worked remotely. Now, give, for the people that don't know you, what's your story, what's your background?
Yep, so I'm a dev. Came down to Newy for uni. From uni went to NIB, Atlassian, and currently at Lendi, tech lead, like you said, kind of wearing a few hats. Kind of tech lead, team lead, and product manager kind of as well. Working in the platform team, where we kind of work to enable and empower the other developers at Lendi. So building a lot of stuff around deployments, front-end boilerplates. We're working on a big authentication piece at the moment, and how do each of the teams kind of interact with that. Back-end deployments of Docker containers to ECS, a bunch of AWS. Monitoring, alerting, all sorts of things at the moment. So,
Nice, man, nice. That's a pretty big journey. Let's pull that back. Out of uni to NIB. Not everyone's done it, but there's a lot of people, and I think they got a really good grad program, probably better than most companies in Newcastle, and then grew through there. That was your first? Did you go into a grad program?
No. So, out of school, I started working for a company linked to the school, and they were called Understanding Faith. They were the Catholic Church, diocese, whatever, parish in Port Macquarie. They were wanting to convert a bunch of their religious education material into, computer-based stuff that kids could use on the computer rather than selling books and that kind of thing. And so they had a heap of content they'd created with Dreamweaver, and they had like over 4,000 pages of content plus all the video, audio, some interactive activities and that kind of stuff. And Dreamweaver was kind of just falling apart trying to handle all that. So they kind of got me in because I did software design development at school throughout the HSC. Kind of got me in. I built like a custom CMS. Everyone builds a CMS once, right?
Yeah.
So built that. That went to 250 Catholic schools in Australia, and I was kind of the dev behind that and the support for all the people installing the software, I guess, at all the schools. So that was pretty cool. Straight out of school, failed a lot, learnt a lot. So that was pretty cool. Came to uni, was still doing a lot of that stuff. Did a few small business stuff as well. Horrible WordPress type stuff.
I've even done a few of them, mate. I'm obviously not a developer, but mate, I've built a few sites in my time. WordPress iterations and different versions of. I think most people have had a crack at something like that in the small business world, right? Yeah. And so the kind of clients I had were kind of just wanted something done. They were kind of low budget. I kind of wasn't happy with the quality, and I kind of, like being a sole trader, didn't know where my next business was coming from, so I just said yes to everyone, which led me to working all-nighters. I tried to chuck some uni students on for a while, but they just couldn't get the right amount of productivity for the low kind of budget projects that I was working on. And so I had a friend of a friend at NIB who kind of reached out to me to invite me to come apply, and so jumped into NIB through there, which was pretty cool. Nice. I
really enjoyed it because I was kind of, I guess, full stack before then. Jumped in and specialized in the front end, which I really enjoyed. And it kind of has had big impact, I guess, when my career is kind of, or where I guess heading my career. And had an awesome team, learned so much, particularly in the first year and a half. All the agile things, people, process. It was a really great team.
Awesome, man. We'll jump to the next step in a sec, but wheel it back. I mean, tech guys have built something, had, in their own time, small business on the side. You've obviously, you said, built a lot, failed a lot, learned a lot. Mate, what's your view on that? Like, is it something, if you're building out your team, hiring into you, are they the sort of people that you look for, people that, tinker, do their own sort of thing? Mate, what's your opinion? What's your take on that?
As in, like, when I'm hiring or looking for someone?
When you're hiring,
Yep. So I think that's definitely something that I look for, is someone who's passionate, kind of loves what they do, will kind of is keen and on board with, I guess, whatever the mission is. So we've hired the platform team at Lendi, and I guess we're looking for someone who's particularly interested in serving developers as they're our customers, being the platform team. Definitely something I look for is someone who's passionate, self-motivated, kind of either tinkers with all those things or has had experience working with it. Or I often find the people who are like really passionate and spent their own time playing in those things are often have a lot more skills in those areas than someone who might not.
Yeah, there's a lot to be learned, right, through that, and it's a lot to be learned through failure, right? You have a crack at something, it doesn't quite work, you find a way to sort it out.
Yeah.
Especially in small business world, I'm learning every day, that's for sure. But I think, you get involved, there's no other way. If it's a small business, like, you could hire some uni students, like you said, but if there's a bigger problem to solve, you've got to solve it out, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's been something to be said for people that have had the chance to just go, I've got to sort this out. There's no one to ask. I've got to do my own research and somehow solve a problem, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of power in that, especially in like hiring people into your team. It's like, is this person a problem solver? Is this person going to be able to find a way to get it done if it's not perfect?
Yeah.
NIB. From NIB, you went to Atlassian.
Yep.
How did that come about?
So while I was at NIB, first year and a half, I grew heaps. A bit later, a bunch of the front-end developers left NIB, and so I was kind of the only front-end developer. There was also another kind of thing happening at the time where the back-end developers were switching language, so with no front-end developers, a heap of back-end developers, they were struggling to work on the front end. So I got to lead a bunch of decisions there around jumping onto React as the kind of development framework at NIB. I convinced all the backend developers to jump onto Node.js because I wanted to do universal rendering in my team. Kind of spent a great lot of, I guess, a fair bit of my time at NIB supporting other developers through design system, through migrating to React, through migrating to Node.js as well. And I think that's something that I really enjoy. I was on holidays, saw a tweet from who was my boss at Atlassian. I was kind of like, this would never happen. I'll just go for it anyway. See what happens. I replied to his tweet, and he was like, no, sorry, no remote jobs going at Atlassian. But then they got back to me like half an hour later and we've talked to HR, we've talked to the team. We're happy to have you on board kind of thing. So kind of went from there. I was pretty excited to be working on the design system Atlas Kit. So I was pretty stoked about that, being able to support developers through that. So Atlassian was pretty amazing. Magnum fridge was a big highlight for me. The views in the office were pretty spectacular, although I was working from Charlestown, so didn't get to enjoy it every day. But when I was down there, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I would say, obviously, Atlassian's the most successful tech company coming out of Australia. And I think it'd be an absolute highlight for a lot of people who would see that as their ultimate place to work. What more insights into what it was like there? Obviously, the Magnum Fridge would have been nice, and you probably didn't get that day in, day out experience. But what was some either key highlights or learning points you got from there?
The environment is just amazing, and the culture, that kind of thing. My daughter, a 3.5-year-old daughter, still talks about the fair day that we had. So once a year they run like a family/friends fair day with rides and everything in Centennial Park. And a year later, my daughter's still talking about it. So that's had a pretty big impact on her. As well as like all the parties that they throw every month are pretty cool. Team events that they have and whole office events that they have yearly as well. They're all pretty cool.
What about from a tech perspective or the way the teams work? Or how does that? Was there anything sort of new that you hadn't seen before, or anything you would say, hey, I learned this there. I'd definitely roll that out with your teams in the future. Anything from working methodology or working style?
So one thing I really loved was innovation days and time or weeks, I guess. So I think We had around 6 innovation weeks a year, as well as the 4 ship it days. Yeah, so that was awesome. I really loved that time to kind of have that idea or that problem for the user that you wanted to solve, or that bug that had been bugging you or someone else, or kind of trying to attack that tech debt that's been bugging you. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I guess maybe one of my learnings was maybe everyone's not like, we put people or companies on these pedestals, and maybe not everyone is quite, I guess, as good on the outside or as they look on the outside kind of thing. And so, I guess there's still people just like everyone else inside the company, and there were times that processes and stuff broke down and inefficient at times. And there were a few, not big challenges, but we were, I guess
challenges you have elsewhere, right?
So we were working through I guess team process and that kind of thing, trying to improve relationship with designers, and how I guess work got handed over between teams and that kind of thing. So NIB had a very cross-functional kind of team, particularly the start when I was there, and I really enjoyed that. Atlassian was a little bit more separated, and it was a little bit more, at least my experience there, was a little bit more throwing it over defense kind of thing.
Right. And that was your first remote role, right?
Yeah.
So you're working predominantly out of Charlestown.
Yep.
For a company in Sydney, most of the team sitting in Sydney.
Yep.
Talk about remote work for a sec. How did you find that to start with?
Yeah, so that was a big change. Kids particularly. My daughter was used to me either being out at work or being home to play with her. Yeah. And so that took her a long 6 months getting used to daddy being home but not able to come in and play. So that was pretty cool. But remote work, everyone jumps to highlight, I guess, the awesome things about it. Working from home, working in your underwear. I don't usually do that.
Usually.
There's occasions, as long as you don't have to get up while the video camera's on. There's some pretty awesome things like no commute, that kind of thing. Lunchtimes I can go out and have it with the family. But I miss the social side of remote work, and I think there's also a kind of a guilt that you get for being remote work. You're not in the office, people can't see you working, and so you kind of feel like you have to work harder to prove to everyone that you are actually working as well. So probably do more hours, as well as on the top of in the office, every half hour, every hour, people turn around and chat to you or go for a coffee break or that kind of thing.
There's a lot of distractions in an office, man.
Yeah,
cool. And you worked from home? Not a co-work space or anything like that?
Yep.
How did you find that?
Yeah, I'm pretty motivated. It's kind of harder for me to stop working than to start working. So, I guess the boundaries I kind of set in place was having a door to close, not using the office for anything other than work purposes, so kind of not getting tempted to go in there on weekends and that kind of thing. Not installing Slack on my phone and all those kind of things.
It's hard, right? It's hard like that. I got a young family as well, 3 young kids, and there's no way in the world I could work from home.
Yep.
And there's a few people that have called me when I'm at home, and I'll preface it with, hey, you're probably going to hear a kid yelling, screaming, talking, asking daddy questions in the background. And it's hard. It's hard to sort of draw that boundary, right? Especially I've found, running your own small business, it's hard to draw that line. And it sounds like you put some pretty solid, rules in place. It's a challenge, right? And it's, as you said, it's something everyone wants to do it until you're doing it, and you're like, but there's definitely some pros, but there's some other aspects to it as well, right? Yeah.
So the 2 teams that I've been part of, Atlassian and now Lendi, they've been, I guess, in an office, and I've been a remote person. At Atlassian, we occasionally had 1 or 2 other people who go home to London or to Spain as well, and they do a month from over there. So that's even harder. Remote with different time zones, heaps harder. And Europe, I guess, crossover with the work hours as well is harder than America as well. Can be challenging from social perspective, feeling part of the team. For those guys who were remote different time zones, it was really hard from like getting approvals done on PRs, you had to wait 24 hours rather than an hour or two kind of thing. So work was slower, getting kind of approvals on decisions that you were making, that kind of thing. I was very lucky. The team that I went to at Atlassian had already started putting, I guess, a lot of the culture or a lot of the, I guess, basics for remote work in place. So they already had good camera. Atlassian's got awesome video conferencing systems. The team had already been working on kind of async communication using Slack, that kind of thing. And kind of all their decisions were already using the RFC process, kind of the DAISY playbook that Atlassian have on their website. So yeah, it was really easy as a remote worker. Kind of any discussion or what a meaningful work discussion was either done over Slack or recorded as a document that you could go look at, contribute to. Otherwise, even if it wasn't, someone would kind of write up some minute notes or that kind of thing to make sure, I guess, there weren't those hallway conversations that you weren't part of kind of thing.
Yeah, there's some, as you said, very real challenges, but I guess some of those more progressive companies like Atlassian and Lendi are putting those things in place. There's probably other companies still coming up to speed with that, right? To put the right frameworks in place to make remote work still work for people. Because it's what, I'm going to say, they work on their own, they work in a silo, but we can talk, but we can communicate, but putting the right frameworks in place to make people feel included, it's a very real challenge, right? I don't think anyone. Well, there's obviously people that do nail it, but it's a work in progress, right? And it's harder than a lot of people might think about.
Yeah. So like lots of different companies seem to have kind of different ideas how to do it. So Atlassian just introduced their first remote team recently. And so their idea with remote is remote, but geographically kind of located, whereas someone like Automatic, so WordPress, creators, they're like totally distributed teams. So totally different time zone for every member in the team. And so both I guess have different challenges. And it'll be interesting to see, does the industry kind of standardize down one, or do both models work? Or it'll be really interesting to see where stuff goes with that.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree. And then you've gone Lendi next, right?
Yep.
Remote again.
Yep.
How's the experience been with Lendi? How'd that come about?
Yep.
What's your experience there?
Yeah, I was really stoked to get Atlassian. The environment was awesome. So pretty fair question. Why'd you leave Atlassian? So I think, there's so many amazing people at Atlassian as well. I was working with the front-end lead from Yandex alongside me as another senior developer. So there's some really great people there. What I was kind of just missing was back at NRB, I had all this kind of input into some of the direction and the strategy of the department and kind of where the technology was going. At Atlassian, it was, it just felt, I guess, like I had less of an impact and wasn't using my skills and my experience as fully as I was at NIB. So I still learn a lot, particularly around like collaboration between teams and particularly observing how the teams were consuming AtlasKit, the design system, and the pain points that they kind of went through. And so, learn a lot. But just not really feeling like I was using my skills and experience to its full potential, I guess.
That sounds like a positive experience, sort of leave the door open for, hey, if something, arises in the future where, it's a better use of your skill sets for where you are in your career. But that's sort of one of the, not the problems, but when you're dealing with a big beast like that, it sounds like you can not get lost, but you're not using the full experience because it is a big team and you're dealing with a bunch of really, really talented people, right?
Yeah, yep.
So it sounds like, and then there's obviously an opportunity to present itself with Lendi.
Yep.
And that's been a good experience so far.
What I was sold jumping into Lendi was, we've got this massive monolith. We kind of need people to come and help us split off the monolith. Yeah, it's been pretty amazing experience.
What do Lendi do for people that don't know?
That's a really good question. So they're a mortgage broker. I guess the difference to most mortgage brokers out there is that we try and automate a lot of the process. So our key differentiator is user experience and automation. Rather than filling out a paper form that you might receive from the broker and then have to hand back to the broker with all the asset kind of information on there. I guess we've got an online form so we can automate the collection of the data and then slowly we can try and automate the back-end process between us and the bank as well to, I guess, give the user faster turnaround, more confidence that they will get the loan. And I think we have quite a large offering of banks that kind of support us as well.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely an industry that will continue to change.
Yeah, for sure. The Royal Commission last year and just technology itself, and definitely a lot of change going on in that industry at the moment.
Nice, man, nice. So you've gone remote. It sounds like that's definitely, your path.
Yep.
You've stayed in Newcastle the whole time.
Yep.
Mate, why these remote roles? Why Newcastle for you?
Yep. So absolutely love Newcastle. Came down when starting uni.
From Port Macquarie, right?
From Port Macquarie, yep. Yeah, and so mum and dad live on 5 acres out there, and so I kind of loved all the bush around Newcastle. I loved that it was so chilled, particularly the traffic compared to Sydney. So I really loved it. I've got a wife and family now as well, and so friends, family, house around. So going somewhere else is kind of a non-starter. But I guess around Newcastle, we love that we're like kind of benefits of the small city, but still 8 minutes to Redhead, 8 minutes to the lake, kind of from where we are. And I like mountain biking, so there's a bunch of good spots to drop into around Glenrock and Whitebridge and all that kind of stuff. So.
Nice, man. What's your take then? You've worked at big companies remotely as well. What's your take on the current tech scene in Newcastle?
I think it's pretty cool. It feels like the last 5 years you probably are in more of a position than me to kind of, know the numbers more. But it feels like it's kind of taken off heaps in terms of so many more jobs kind of going around at the moment, so many more startups. It's really cool to see some more interesting work starting up around Newcastle. I think it's still kind of got a long way to grow. When I talk to my workmates, I try and encourage them to move up or try and, highlight how cool Newcastle is because of all the stuff going on. They're kind of like, what, really? Are you serious? I think there's probably a fair bit, lots of opportunity to grow still.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's definitely on a path, right? That's what we're trying to do with the podcast. Is try to highlight a little bit of that because it's still people in Newcastle seem to know that there's a growing tech scene. You can use the word thriving, maybe. It's on that path anyway. There's a very real challenge to try to educate people outside of Newcastle on what actually is going on. And then there's also a very real challenge for someone like yourself at that more senior end of town still for, a lack of opportunity. Like in the dev space, right, there is a heap of opportunity at the moment. We're significantly candidate short in and around that mid to maybe senior route. And a heap of jobs around that. But once you get over that sort of number, over that 100 to 120k mark, once you go over that, the opportunities are definitely fewer and farther between, right? I'm sure you've experienced that. So I think there's a few different challenges, I guess. So there's a lot of senior roles even in Newcastle, but I haven't really seen many lead or beyond. But also I think particularly for me, like a lot of the work that I'm quite interested in, so kind of supporting, enabling, empowering developers, are often usually larger companies, I guess, that can justify having a person or a whole team kind of backing those kind of things. So there's probably a few challenges there. Yeah, I think they're very real challenges, right? I think it's all well and good for us to sit here on the podcast, and I'm obviously spruiking Newcastle and the opportunities around Newcastle, and that it's very real. Like that there's absolutely no lies in there. There's more opportunity now than there was this time last year, and infinitely more than a couple of years ago. But the challenge still is that at the more senior end of town, for people like yourself to have opportunities here. You just you called it out there, and you need a really decent sized engineering team for to hire those senior roles like you're looking for, right?
Yeah, some of the problems don't necessarily present themselves, and then I guess the leadership as well. Actually, I don't really know what's happening there. I guess there's a lot of senior people, lots of senior roles. I suppose the senior roles are expected to be doing the management side of things as well, the leadership type of stuff as well.
Yeah, as well as multiple hats.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Which happens, right? It happens to the smaller the team.
Yeah.
If you're a startup and you're the CTO of a startup, you're probably writing code as well as everything else, right? And as you build out, you can hire people to take some of those responsibilities away. And then when you're talking about bigger size companies, same scenario. The bigger the company, the more people you can have in more defined roles, right?
Yep.
But you need a really decent sized engineering team, I guess, to be able to have proper leads that are either not hands-on running code day in, day out type scenario.
Yep.
But I think we're on the right path, and hopefully there will be opportunities for people like yourself in the future.
I'd love to see some bigger kind of businesses starting to open up shop kind of around Newcastle, and so I've had some friends from companies in Sydney who would love to move up here, but the company going remote or opening a satellite office up here has kind of been a bit of a barrier, and so it feels to me, in my uneducated position, it feels like a cat and mouse or chicken and egg kind of situation. You need people up here, but you also need the work up here as well. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out.
Completely agree. I think it's one of two ways. I think it's either big tech company opening a satellite office and building a team there, or one of the startups here, growing significantly and building their team here. I think that is sort of the two options, right? To really create that more opportunity, or significantly more opportunity, put Newcastle on the map a little bit. But there's enough happening, and all pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see how much has changed in the last 5 years.
And then there's obviously more remote opportunities popping up for some, for people like yourself to say, hey, I can remain here. I'm sure that you've had enough conversations with other companies in Newcastle. Not that you consult to them, but there is that talent in Newcastle to say, hey, I've got some serious knowledge here, and whilst you continue to work remotely, at least you are based here still.
Yep.
How have you found remote work? Is there more companies out there providing remote work opportunities? Yeah.
I think it's even in the last 3 years, it's massively increased. Yeah, more and more kind of open to it. Very slowly, more officially open to it for a company-wide policy. They definitely seem to be the more senior end of things, which is, I guess, self-explanatory to an extent. They know how to... more trusted, I guess, to manage their own time and that kind of thing. It's really exciting to see that there's more remote opportunities opening up.
Nice, man. If you wheel way back, you mentioned you came from Port Macquarie to Newcastle for university.
Yep.
What was your university experience like? I think Newcastle University's a really good selling point for tech in Newcastle, right? Hey, we've got a university here, we can churn out people. Not churn out people, that's the wrong terminology, but hey, we can help educate people in that tech field. Mate, what was your experience like?
I kind of started coding around year 3, year 4 kind of thing, and so I was already doing a fair bit of stuff on the web.
You're talking about year 3, year 4 in school?
Yeah.
How old are you then?
31.
Now, how old are you in year 3 and 4? What's that?
7.
And you're coding then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so QBasic back then, back in the day on old DOS box that Dad brought home. It was kind of allowed 2 hours a day on the computer, 1 hour gaming and 1 hour educational. Back by gaming, I mean like the old games where you type in a number, the angle for the banana to be thrown by the gorilla, that kind of thing. Yeah, so pretty old school, but yeah, kind of to maximize my time on the computer, I was like, I want to play games for 2 hours, not 1 hour. So I'm going to program for the rest of the time so I can make games, and that kind of flies under the radar as educational.
Yeah,
so
nice.
yeah, kind of did that. Was even outside of the 2 hours, I was like writing code on paper and syntax checking it by hand, and then making the most of my 2 hours actually on the computer.
How did you learn to do this in your own time then? How self-educated?
Yeah, so Dad kind of taught himself when he got the computer. He modified a few games to be maths questions rather before you can do something.
Yeah.
So Dad helped a bit, plus the internet, I guess, tutorials and that kind of thing. SitePoint back in the day in the high school years for all the PHP, MySQL, all that kind of stuff. But it's really cool kind of seeing I guess how many resources are available now for learning all that kind of thing, like Stack Overflow and like it used to take hours of kind of debugging something or trying to reverse engineer something, and how easy it is to find answers to problems these days is pretty cool.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
But yeah, you're seeing people start even earlier and earlier, I reckon, than these
And
days.
there's other sort of, I guess, man, there's more and more little educational devices that are teaching kids to code and things like that. Not even like official coding, but like little robotics things and things out there now as well.
Yeah.
It's just like, I was looking for a birthday present for my 5-year-old only last weekend, and it's like, there's all these things learning code for kids, and I'm like, wow, it is, yeah, man, it's a good thing. It's more educational out there, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. Sorry, man, I derailed you from your uni experience.
I forgot where I was going. Yeah, so I guess I knew how to code reasonably well. Probably not best practice or anything like that. So I got to uni. I was a bit bored, to say the least, I guess, through uni. I guess learning the basics of Java, C++, I'd kind of already played around with those things. Yeah, I found the comp sci stuff a little bit challenging. But yeah, it was kind of bored. Like I was already working as well. I was talking about it earlier. And yeah, so I kind of felt, I guess I struggled to see maybe the relation between the theoretical and the practical day-to-day kind of work a bit. Yeah, and a lot of the kind of technology and stuff that was being used at the time was, pretty out of date or, not highly used in the industry anymore. So
nice, mate. I like this. From a development perspective, you've obviously gone on work for some massive companies, doing really well, reasonably well. Let's say you're doing quite well from a getting opportunities in roles. You're a senior guy in the dev space. If a 4-year, 3-year degree is not the answer for a developer, and what's your opinion? What's the sort of the way through to sort of have people come out? Because there's obviously, there's some theoretical knowledge around that, around best practices and things like that. You obviously did pick up some parts, but then a lot of parts aren't relevant to getting jobs. What's your opinion on education for the way forward?
Yeah, that's a big open question. So I think at Lendi at the moment we've got a few people who have done General Assembly, kind of a 3-month course, and they're kind of up and coding now, which is pretty cool. It's really cool in our industry that I guess the entry level is really low. You can kind of teach yourself this stuff and kind of get into it. So I think that's really cool. I think like all of us as programmers, developers, kind of our job requires constant learning. And I think as long as you kind of can motivate yourself to continually be learning and I guess improving, I think you're in a pretty good place. And then yeah, I think a lot of businesses are doing a reasonably good job of providing learning development, whether it be conferences or kind of courses, that kind of thing for on the job. Yeah, and I think that's pretty neat that, if maybe this, I haven't really thought about this much, so don't hang me out to dry for it. But I guess if people are doing those 3-month things and then throughout their working career, the businesses that they're working for are, I guess, supporting them to learn whatever they need for their particular roles. I guess maybe there's less stuff that they learn that they don't need to learn by, I guess, tailoring their learning to what they're working on. I don't know.
No, I agree.
There are parts of uni that I have found helpful.
I completely agree.
I think it could probably be more productive kind of experience. Yeah,
a bit of a mixed experience maybe between university and the other shorter course providers. You have a part there of uni, part there general assembly, part there of XYZ, whatever those might be. It might be a Code Academy course, it might be something else, shorter form. Sure. Are there any other shorter courses or online providers that you've found useful?
Yeah, not really. So I haven't.
Not really.
I suppose. Yeah, I guess I kind of feel like on the front end, I've got pretty good kind of knowledge. A lot of the courses feel like they're aimed at the kind of more entry level kind of thing, and so.
If you're picking up a new language, then how do you go about it?
Yeah, I haven't had to, I guess, for a long time. Node.js, JavaScript, probably just Google tutorials. I think there's still stuff's constantly changing, so constantly having to learn. I think for me, myself, I particularly learn by pulling something apart and kind of putting it back together. So it could be like a library, like React, pulling that apart, figuring out how it understands and trying to rebuild my own simple kind of cut down thing. But kind of for me, it's kind of Twitter. Follow a lot of people on Twitter, talk about how they improve performance somewhere here. I guess case studies of companies having done stuff, go and kind of dig into the details and kind of take learnings from there, I guess. Cool. So less formal kind of stuff, education for me. Yeah.
So you've mentioned Twitter there. Is there any other sort of, I guess, online resources that you use for education, like books, podcasts, blogs, other?
So the last book I bought, I think, about programming.
Doesn't have to be programming.
Or software development. Actually, I bought an online book about the lean methodology. I can't remember what it was called. That was the last book. Before that, though, it was like Martin Fowler's Bible of enterprise patterns. So I'm not a very good reader. I've got 2 kids that probably helps there. Most of my time is probably more into actually coding, pulling stuff apart, building it back up. Yeah.
And then you mentioned if you got problems, Stack Overflow.
Yeah. So, the day-to-day kind of debugging stuff, Stack Overflow, there's usually a solution there. Kind of Twitter is kind of how I guess I keep up with all the new things that are happening in the React world and, other places.
Cool. Is there anyone in particular you'd recommend to an aspiring developer to follow?
I think everyone who does anything to do with React follows Dan Abramov. He often recommends lots of other people as well.
Start there.
Yeah.
Perfect. From a productivity perspective then, what do you use on a day-to-day basis? It's I think everyone else is obviously within an office, and I'm not sure whether it changed for you being remote or not, but what do you use to help run your days?
So Slack is kind of the essential communication tool, I guess. VS Code for coding. Google Meet for video conferencing, so that's pretty important for stand-up every day, as well as often a heap of other meetings. Confluence is pretty essential as well, so we do a lot of our documentation for example, team retros or RFCs for a new process, changing our team process or changing something to do with technology, introducing a new technology, looking at a new API gateway vendor or that kind of thing. So Confluence, they're probably the big ones, I think.
Nice, man.
Day to day.
I mean, if you winded it back and you gave yourself some advice, younger version.
Yeah.
Hey, what would you say? Anything you change massively? Any advice you'd give?
I was trying to think about that. Hey, so I think I feel like where I am today has kind of been from, I guess, all the either experiments that went wrong or the things that I've learned along the way. I don't know. I feel like if I went back in time and kind of told myself how to skip these things, maybe I wouldn't have those learnings and wouldn't necessarily. I probably would be making a whole heap of different decisions, which I guess don't know if I'd be where I am today. So I think I'd say I don't really have anything. Just keep at it, I guess.
It seems like common theme has been for years, just like breaking things and putting them back together, or just building, right? Like you're doing it when you're a young fellow, like in years 3 and 4 at school, and then you've said it continuous, like you learn by pulling things apart, putting it back together, build it, learn from it. You did it through the middle years through WordPress and things like that. Sounds like a pretty common theme there, right? Yeah. Maybe don't be afraid, but I feel like I've hopefully already know I don't have to be afraid to pull stuff apart. So. Yeah, I think more people could at least have a crack at that, right?
Yeah. I guess anyone else who's interested in development or that kind of thing, just start doing it. Nothing to stop you. The bar of entry, I guess bar of entry in the industry is pretty low at the moment, so it's really cool that you can learn those skills really easily, pick it up, get a job somewhere, and just, I guess, be building on your experience from there, which is pretty cool. And you can, through all the resources on the internet, you can continually be upskilling yourself, and so I think it's a pretty cool time to be a developer. Or at least wanting to get into development as well.
Mate, I completely agree. And there's a very, very quick path to earning some reasonable amount of money. You can go from, teaching yourself to, let's call it 6 figures in definitely under 2 years if you're good. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, if you're willing to put the time and effort in, for sure.
I don't know. There's many other careers you go to, 0 to 6 figures in 2 years or less without, as a low barrier to entry. There's not too many fields like that, I don't think.
Yeah.
And that's
it's pretty unique.
Yeah, that's a good opportunity, right? And if people want to get to know you a little bit more about you, Twitter sounds like it might be the go.
Yep, for sure. So James Newell on Twitter.
Anywhere else people should reach out to you?
LinkedIn. Only recruiters use that, right, James?
Yes, those people. It makes life a little bit more difficult.
Really?
I think there's
you should just do everything on Twitter.
Well, I think recruiters, I don't want to say have ruined LinkedIn, but there's a lot of poor experiences people have with recruiters on LinkedIn being spammed with non-relevant opportunities or let's say that. Just spam in general. It's just like, hey, without even knowing the person, just reaching out with something that's completely irrelevant. And I think recruiters in general, then all get sort of tarnished with the same brush. It's, there's just another recruiter message. So there's a definite challenge for recruiters to cut through the noise with very real opportunities. So
and it's really clear when, I guess, a recruiter is different as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think there's, I think it's not...
It's easy to stand out being different.
Correct. I think it's a pretty, once again, low barrier to entry. Very, very low barrier to entry. But that's one of those things like, hey, over time, you can stand out and sort of differentiate yourself. And I think that's what, I guess, better recruiters try to do, or people that are in there for sort of the longer game. But it does. I've spoken to a number of people, especially in the tech space, especially in the development space, that just get hammered by recruiters on a daily basis or multiple times a day, and they're just like, hey, I don't even log in or I don't even read them for that reason.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the challenge of a recruiter. Mate, thanks for your time today. Hopefully we'll continue as well, and we'll see more of you around the Newcastle tech scene in the future.
Cool.
Cheers, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, man.